Hello, everyone. My name is Church and Sarge, and I'm extremely excited to be here for the first episode of How to Train a Speedrunner, a show dedicated to showing off beginner tutorials to help show how easy it is to get into speedrunning. I've been in the speedrunning scene for a few years now, and I've done a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and one of the things that I've heard time and time again is just how difficult it is to get into speedrunning, and it's a mindset that I'm looking to help change with this show. Speedrunning is a lot like any other hobby or skill. It's something that you need to practice in order to get good at. So if you want to get good at drawing, you start with some pencil and paper and you do a lot of drawings. If you want to get good at playing an instrument, you start playing some easier songs on the instrument, and then you progressively go to harder and harder songs. And speedrunning is similar to those in that you want to start off easy and then progressively introduce the harder tricks and skips and stuff like that. So to that end, we'll be having speedrunners come onto the show every other week and showcase their games. They'll be showing off basic routing, easier versions of tricks, easier setups to kind of help you fall back on if the tricks in the main run aren't working for you, if they're a little too hard. All kinds of beginner strategies that'll help you get a run finished instead of trying to implement all these world record strats right off the bat. Before we get into today's show, do have a few announcements. The Frame Fatales Games Committee applications are now open, so you can go to gamesdonequick.com to apply. Frame Fatales has also been selected as a finalist for the Game Her Awards, so you can learn more with exclamation vote in the chat. And if you've missed out on any of our GDQ Hotfix shows, you can check out our archive of past runs and shows over at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. And if you're over on YouTube watching, you can feel free to join us over at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick to check out our live shows, starting most nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. While you're over there at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick, just a reminder that Hotfix is funded in part thanks to all of your subscriptions, your bitch, and all of your support. So please consider subscribing to help support future broadcasts. One last reminder before we throw it over to the game. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. is the premiere of It's Dangerous to Go Alone, a show focusing on co-op speedruns. There have been a few episodes. There's been a promo already. It was a great run. It's going to be a great show, so you want to make sure to check that out. But with all that said, I'm joined by Chicken Nuggets here, who will be doing a tutorial of Batman Arkham City. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to this.
I'm looking forward to this. This is a game I've actually played. I really did enjoy it. You've been running this game for a while, right?
Yeah, going on 4 years with this game, and I've been with the Arkham series for like 4.5 now.
Is there anything about the game you wanted to say, or do you want to just jump right into it?
We can just jump right into it, and I can talk during the intro.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. So we'll switch over to the run, and we'll get a countdown whenever you're ready.
All right, so the time will start pretty much when the first cutscene ends here, so I'll count it down. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So, the first thing you might notice is that the game is not in English. We're actually playing in Spanish. That's one of the things we do to save time. It's about 11 to 12 seconds over the course of the run. If you just want to play the game in English, that's totally fine. It's not like necessary time save. It's just, free time save, so why not? As for other things we do for setup, we have a bunch of stuff bound to the mouse wheel, which will be very useful, especially if you have a free scroll mouse, like I do. And if you're wondering how to go about doing all this setup, just go to speedrun.com/Arkham City, go to the guides. There's a beginner guide that links everything. So right here, as soon as you gain control, you're going to go left, right, to fall over. And one of the things I've bound to the mouse wheel is countering, so I'm just going to hold shift and mouse wheel up to counter this guy as soon as the game lets me. You can also just mash the button, that's totally fine. A lot of this intro is just cutscenes, but it's okay, we can go right through it. So early on, the run's gonna be pretty straightforward, but as you get through it, you unlock more gadgets, which enable more tech, and it gets a little bit complicated, but we'll stick to more of the beginner stuff and all this. So one thing to note about this hallway, it's very important that you're looking towards the next thing that's going to happen. Like if you're just like looking around, the events don't occur unless you're actually looking at them. So, you know, it can be tempting to just kind of like look around and not really pay attention, but you definitely want to be looking straight forward here.
So one thing just about the language, it is free time save, but like when you're starting off, it's totally okay to just run in English or whatever language you know. That way you can actually know what the menus do and stuff like that, because I assume there is a little bit of menu involved.
Yeah, for sure. There's buying upgrades, and it doesn't matter too much for this category, but there's also hacking, and sometimes the hacks have multiple solutions. So if you're not prepared for that, then it can be a little, like, not great. You're just, like, trying to figure out what the word is in a language you don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're just starting out, English is totally acceptable. So there's a little fight here. We're going to do something kind of weird, so I'll actually pause and explain this. So Bruce Wayne cannot crouch while he's handcuffed, but you can still press the toggle crouch button and put him into kind of a broken crouch state. So when you do that, I'll just let this guy hit me to give myself a little more time. Camera will kind of pull out like this, and then when you counter somebody, it kind of just ends the counter. So some takedown cancels there. We're not going to do it to the last guy because that loses time for some reason. Just like the whole sequence kind of breaks if you do that. So just do it to the first two guys and then do a counter on the last guy normally.
And so you're basically just crouching and it's reacting weird?
So it's specifically the toggle crouch key, which is bound to caps lock, or you can bind it to whatever, but by default, it's bound to caps lock. And because it requires toggle crouch, you can only do that one on keyboard. Oh, that's another thing I should talk about. So I'll be doing some of the run on keyboard and mouse and other parts of the run with the controller, which is why we have the input display for both those. Because some things are just easier or faster with keyboard. Other things, a lot of me using controllers is personal preference, but sometimes it's important. So I'm just gonna use the mouse wheel to counter Penguin here as quickly as possible. And as soon as I gain control, I'm gonna turn around and hit him so that I get these counter animations from behind on these guys. Didn't quite get that. There we go. These ones are the ones you want. So right after this, there is a skip you could do here. I'll show it off, but I don't actually recommend doing it when you're just starting out. It's quite difficult. You just go here, dive roll. Whoops, I didn't even do it right. There's a weird collision thing going on in this corner, and if you do it just right, you can get pushed up by the wall, and then if you crouch and then crouch again at just the right time, you can get on top of the dumpster immediately without doing this fight. I'll try it one more time. Okay, well, case in point, that's quite hard, so I'm not gonna do that. We're just gonna do this fight normally. With this fight, you wanna kind of juggle between 3 people and ideally not hit the 4th person until the very end, because what happens in this game is when there's one guy left and you punch them, they just go down in one hit. Most of the time anyway, that's what's supposed to happen. I mean, you can also try this weird jump here after the fight, but it's still quite difficult, so we'll just progress normally here. So here's a little weird thing. So normally when you jump across a gap, Batman will like deliberately not jump as far as he can so that you get this like cinematic thing where it looks like he just made it. Oh, that didn't happen that time. But if you turn the camera off to the side, what'll happen sometimes is he'll just make it all the way across. So when you climb up here, you want to be facing the camera off this way, jump across, and then not roll there. A lot of accidental rolling because of overlapping inputs with running and jumping. I'm gonna roll here on purpose or not. This is not going well. Right. Do a little bit of parkour here. Once you climb up this ladder, you're gonna try to slide here. And then as soon as you get out of that, you're gonna slide again to just go right into this shimmy. And then there's one more slide you can do here. You want to be facing towards this wall when you go for the slide, because if you're not, then what'll often happen is he'll just try to shimmy on the ledge there instead. So just like that. Climb up this ladder, jump across, and then as soon as you climb up, just dive roll diagonally there to trigger the cutscene here with the bat suit. All I gotta do is climb up, interact with it, and then you become Batman.
I imagine a lot of the cutscenes in this aren't skippable.
Most of them are, but there's a lot of like small sequences like this that are not. And there are like 3 or 4 big unskippable cutscenes. So here's a little hacking sequence where you're gonna, basically a little circle will draw on this thing and you wanna move this somewhere into the circle. Specifically, you want to be, there's like these grid lines you can see here. You wanna be like on the corner there, like where these grid lines intersect, and then just slightly above that. So just like that. And if you, well, I got it. So if you do it wrong, it like moves into position and is slower. So ideally you just want to land it right on the correct spot. So I'm actually going to load a different save right now just to skip a cutscene. Because this is actually, that's one of the long unskippable ones right there.
Okay. And that's just for like our sake.
Yeah,
normally in a run you watch that.
You would watch that because the only way to do it is to have a save after that point, which obviously you can't just load saves whenever it runs. I'm going to show something off real quick. Also things that I have that you can't do in runs. I have cheats. I'm just going to knock all these people out to get them out of the way. Obviously, can't have cheats in real runs, just doing it for demonstration. So there's a glitch called dive roll cancels. So there's this dive roll animation, which you get like a little bit of a jolt forward, but then when he stops, it's quite a bit slower. But by spamming the quickfire backclaw inputs, which are left trigger and Y, during dive rolls, you can kind of interrupt them. Oops, hang on. And then it looks a little something like this. Yeah, it's pretty amusing. So that's quite a bit faster than running, although it is slower than gliding or other methods of moving around. And it's like, I'm probably making it look really easy, but this is actually quite difficult to get the hang of. You have to mash pretty quickly. You can also do them on keyboard, but you have to have custom bind set up. The guide I mentioned earlier that explains how to set everything up will go over that. But I have aiming bound to a button on the side of my mouse and then the other button bound to C. So if I hit that C spacebar all at the same time, I can also do dive roll cancels. Yeah, so let me just reload here.
Looks so funny.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. Let me load the other save again, just so that we're where we're actually supposed to be.
So, for like somebody just trying to get in, you don't need to have both a controller and a keyboard. You can just pick one, right? And then
yeah. If you're more comfortable doing the entire game on controller, that is mostly fine. There are a couple things that I highly recommend doing on keyboard, if you can. And if you want to play entirely on keyboard, that is completely fine. There's like very few things that are better on controller.
Okay, it's mostly a preference thing.
Yeah.
Except for a few things. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll just go back up here. Whoops. So the way you're going to glide around for a lot of the game is you're going to glide towards something, grapple it, and then before you actually get to the thing you've grappled to, you're going to cancel that grapple and then continue gliding. So I'll show that off here. So it's pretty much the glide path you would go for here. As soon as you get that gargoyle, to do that, I'm going to use mouse wheel down to cancel the grapple and then go into another glide. It's the Spider-Man method of gliding and grappling. Even though it's a Batman game, just go with it. So you can do dive roll cancels here, just to get down this hallway a little faster. And now we've got the first actual fight of the game. So we're going to do something called ground takedown cancels. It's actually very similar to dive roll cancels. You're going to spam quickfire backclock during ground takedown animations. So I'll just show this off here. So knock a guy down, and then start spamming that, and then he does knock out the guy, but it just uses the backclaw instead of doing the whole animation. So you can pretty much do the entire fight just with that. And then one thing I should mention is, hang on, let me knock this guy down. So you need to get those animations where he's like jumping into the air onto thugs. If you get this one where he's just like on the ground and punch them, you can't cancel out of this one. Which is why I'm like, knocking people down with batarangs to build up my combo and then doing the like jumping ground takedown towards them. Now Two-Face is gonna shoot us. There's no trick to this. You just wait until he shoots you. You have no control.
Tengo que localizar por dónde entró la bala y dónde impactó.
So obviously these cancel, like the dive rolls and the takedown cancels are optimal, but if you can't get it down, you can just do it regularly without the cancels.
Yeah, for sure. You can do the fight completely normally, just with... It would mostly just be striking people, basically.
Okay.
So now we gotta scan a couple things. So you're looking this way. Best thing to do is look off to the right, scan this, the window, look down, scan this on the floor, and then as soon as you're done scanning that, look up towards this rope in the air. Because then once you skip this cutscene, you're looking at the rope, and then the very cool way to get out of here is to grapple this, cancel it into a glide, and just glide perfectly out the window like that. If that doesn't work so well for you, you can just, like, you can just grapple up here normally. But it's really cool to glide all the way out. Alright, so now we're heading towards the church, which is off in that direction. And there are a bunch of thugs standing outside the church, but we don't want to fight them. We're going to try to skip fighting them. So what we're going to do is grapple up here. If you hold the grapple button, which is by default F on keyboard or right bumper on controller, he'll just hang from the thing instead of climbing it. Like if you grapple up normally here, he'll climb all the way up, but ideally you want to hang from this. So holding the button to hang. Then you're going to go off the side of this water tower, cancel it, and then glide. You're going to sort of retain some momentum that way. Gliding towards the church here. You're going to try to land. You're pretty much where I am right now. You're going to let go of gliding, and then you're going to ideally have the mouse wheel up bound to like interacting with stuff. So you're just going to do that, and then as soon as you land, Batman will try to interact with the door, which ideally, whoops, well, I did that wrong. So ideally you don't hit the church, you actually just land all the way down and interact with the door. I'll try that one more time. This is a pretty hard skip. Like, it doesn't seem hard to do consistently, but it really is. For no good reason. Again, cancel, glide. Towards the door. And mouse wheel. Cool. And if you're not able to get that at all, or you just try it and you don't get it, just turn around and fight the guys with ground takedown cancels. Like any other encounter. So here's Harley. What I like to do here is just run here and then counter her so that she's near this pillar. Because what's happening in this room is while she's like talking and monologuing or whatever, she's gonna walk around a bunch, then she's going to walk to like this point and then go out the door. So ideally what we're gonna try to do is lure her to this point so that all she has to do is turn around and leave. And personally I find it easier to do it when she's standing here at the start. Actually I already messed it up, so that's not good, but you don't want to get too close to her because otherwise she'll just stay in place like she did here. But I think I can still make this work. Or she's just stuck. Nope, okay. A little weird, so if she's just like not moving, just like move around a bit. Okay, well, that's pretty bad, but kind of close. So you'll see she'll like walk to a specific point and then out the door. So ideally she would have just been on the point. Alright, so what the game wants you to do here is drop a smoke grenade and then grapple up to a gargoyle, but you can just not grapple up to the gargoyle. And drop the smoke. Gotta wait a little bit for you to be able to move forward. As soon as you actually can start moving forward, just jump over this guy, jump back, and they'll just forget you exist and give you an opportunity for a double takedown. And there's this guy. Go into the vent here. Over here, do a takedown from the vent. Then you're gonna try to grapple to this gargoyle and then cancel it and glide over to behind that guy over there. Just dive down here, do the takedown. That's that room. So one thing to note, there is a Riddler trophy here. We typically don't grab this one, but when you're just starting out, it can make sense to grab for a little extra experience. Oh, go ahead and grab that. So getting out of here, whoops, you're going to try to cancel off this gargoyle and then glide towards the exit door, which is over here. Just like that. Perfect. Go over here, grapple directly up to the top ledge here. Look up, there's another Riddler trophy. We do grab this one. And then grapple up to the ledge here. And the ladder is just off to your left, so you can immediately interact with it. All right, so what's gonna happen here is I'm gonna look to the left. Batman's gonna start talking, but his dialogue's gonna be kind of long, so we're going to interrupt it by interacting with this trapdoor thing we just came out of. So Batman starts talking, crouch, interact. I got bad dialogue RNG, so it didn't save that much time. If you get good dialogue RNG, then he has much shorter dialogue there. And now you just kind of have to wait for Joker to finish talking here. When you do, you're going to want to jump out one of these windows. Doesn't matter which one. The cutscene, or there's a cutscene after that locks you in. I just like to go with this one because it's the cannon window. But you can just hold forward and then, whoops, hold forward and then mouse wheel. And then as soon as you actually can jump out the window, he'll just go ahead and do it. Now we're going to make our way over to the steel mill. So this is a kind of complex glide path. There's probably some easier, well, there's some, I'll explain as I go. So you're going to start gliding, let go, and then start gliding again. Ideally not touch the building though. Try that again. Glide, let go, glide again, and then you can grapple this gargoyle, cancel off of it, ideally not hit the building. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with these glide paths, as you're seeing. Grapple this gargoyle, and as soon as you're above the ledge, just cancel it. Ideally, you go right through the bottom of it like that. Then go up to this water tower. I like to slide off of it to go into the next glide. And then I like to hit these balloons for a little extra experience. And then grapple. Then you're going to grapple the right side of whatever the heck this thing is. Glide in between these buildings. Cancel off of this light post. And then grapple this ledge down here and hold the grapple button. Because then from here, you're going to go up to this ledge. There's a lot of different things you can grapple to, so if you want to be sure that you're getting the right one, you can zoom in and then grapple. I guess I should also mention, the way I just skipped the dialogue there was with the mouse wheel, because we have a lot of things bound to the mouse wheel, and then you can just grapple up here.
I didn't want to cut you off on your glide path explanation, but I've played this game. I don't remember those balloons at all. I don't know if it's because it's been so long or...
There's only a handful of them, so...
Okay.
And if you're like wandering around after 100%ing the game, there won't be any because you have to break them all for 100%. So you're just going to pull this thing open. Using the mouse wheel for that isn't faster, but it's just kind of convenient. So normally what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to drop down and then go kind of around this whole thing again to get the exit. But there's a small skip you can do to save about 4 seconds. So totally worth it, right? You're going to drop from there onto this. Then there's this wall here you're going to jump to. You're going to bounce off that, glide around, bounce off this railing, and then glide all the way across. So jump, bounce off, turn, bounce. And you want to specifically go on the left railing here. If you go too far to the right, you won't be able to climb up. That can be deceptively hard. And it, like I said, it only saves like 4 seconds. And if you mess it up, it can lose like 40. So when you're just starting out, it might make sense to just go through the area casually. But might as well try it and see if you can get the hang of it. Blow that up to progress. I like to just hit this button as I'm running through. There's going to be another big fight here. Not as big as it looks right now. A lot of these guys are going to leave, fortunately. You do have to wait for these cycles, but you can just walk directly into the flames because on easy at least, your health doesn't really matter. It's quite hard to die on easy, even if you're fairly new to the game. But in this fight, I'm going to try to do a physical challenge for a little extra experience. Specifically, I'm going to try to get a 20 combo. So I'm actually not going to do that many ground takedown cancels. I find them quite difficult to do in this fight because since there's so many enemies, it's hard to like consistently keep your combo while trying to do them. So I like to just jump out, kick this guy. I do 1 ground takedown cancel on the first guy, throw a bunch of batarangs, and then I'm just going to alternate between throwing batarangs and punching until I get my combo up. And then as soon as I do have that 20 combo, I can just throw 3 batarangs every time. Ideally, these guys go down. There we go. So it's something like that, basically.
You made that look really easy. How difficult is that fight?
It's not... I don't think it's that hard, but I've always been good at the combat in these games. So, like, even before I got into speedrunning, so my perception is probably a little skewed.
That's fair.
It's a lot of just, improvising and that sort of thing. So in this room, you're going to go up to this window. You're going to throw 2 batarangs through it, dive through, and then do a ground takedown cancel. Then as soon as these guys start talking, you're safe to just dive roll over here because they've just forgotten that you exist. And you can do a double takedown on them. Up this bumper car, through this window. And before you go through that door, you're going to pull this grate down because it's faster to pull it down now than it is to push it down later. All right, so now we've got a predator. So a bunch of guys with guns. So we're going to do a knockout smash on this guy, throw batarangs at this guy, ground takedown cancel. You pull this far guy over here off of his ledge. If you can't do the ground takedown cancel, then you can still do this strat. And you just yank that guy over that ledge. Grapple over here. I like to slide into this guy to add up for a physical challenge later. And then if you do it right, you can do a ground takedown cancel, knock that guy down, do a ground takedown cancel on him as well. And then rescue Stacy here. All right, now we have the wreck. This is probably the most broken gadget in the game. It's definitely the most broken gadget in the game, and we will see why momentarily. Before we move on, I'm just gonna hit this Harley head with the wreck to get a little extra experience. Dive through this window, grapple up to this gargoyle, and then you can just quick fire the wreck, which is left trigger and B to open that shutter, and then go right through it. So something you can do with the wreck is you can actually interrupt the animation of opening doors. So if you just do left trigger, right trigger, and A, just cancels opening the door. It unloads the room you're currently in, loads the next room. That'll be pretty important for skips later. For now, the main benefit of it is just that you can go through the door a little bit faster than doing the door animation normally. So again, you want to hold forward on the left stick, and then hold aim, and then right trigger and A. And I guess to do that on keyboard, it's the same idea. Hold forward on W, hold right click, and then left click and space. I'm much better at it on controller. Oops. There we go. So here, there are some thugs here. What the game's gonna do is as soon as you drop into that room, it's going to try to teach you how to use the wreck, but obviously we don't want to do that, so all you're gonna do is just throw a smoke grenade at this wall. They'll get a little confused, and then you're free to just drop in here, completely ignore these guys, and run back the way you came. Ideally diving through these windows. You can hit this Harley head if you want for even more extra experience, but you don't need to. Canceling these doors like this, it only saves half a second, so you don't need to do this. But they're pretty easy once you get the hang of them, so there's that. Now, before we move on, I need to talk about something called storage. So basically, if you do this weird little animation cancel in a certain state with the wreck, the game will store the fact. So like right now I have something called railing storage on the wreck. So now if I aim a different gadget, and then switch to the wreck. Batman now thinks he's on a railing. It's a little weird. Right now, that specifically is not very useful, but that'll come up later. The kind of storage we actually want right now is standing storage. So the way to get this is to just be in a standing state. You're going to aim, shoot the wreck, and then switch to another gadget very quickly, like super fast. So there's a couple different things that can happen once you do that. Right now, I'm not touching any inputs. This is just Batman standing still, holding out a gadget. This is called Rec Lock. Sometimes we also call it full storage. This we don't need right now, but will be important later. If you want to get out of this, you can either just throw a Batarang, or you can switch to the Bat Claw and aim it, and then you'll just break out naturally. And the other thing that can happen is you can just not be locked into any state, but I could still have rec storage right now. The way you check is by attempting to quick fire the rec. So I'm pressing left trigger and B right now. Nothing's happening. It's because I have that storage. Blank on what I wanted to say next. Right. Do you have any questions about that? That was a lot to take in.
So basically you're putting the game in a state where it's remembering a scenario that is not currently happening. So like when you were doing the rail storage,
Yeah, exactly.
you're making the game remember a time when Batman was on the railing with the gun, and it's just saving that state for whenever you need it next.
Exactly.
I assume it's a pretty tight window to do that. So you quick fire and then switch. Sorry, go ahead.
So it's there's full storage or rec lock, which is this. This is a pretty tight window. But to have storage, you don't need that. You can just shoot and switch to a different gadget. And this that window is super easy. And I still have the storage.
Okay, so full storage is a tight window and everything else is pretty lenient on the window?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the reason this is useful right now is, first of all, we gotta knock this hook into Joker's office up there. So we're just gonna shoot twice with right trigger, shoot twice with right bumper, and then we can do our storage. So what's normally supposed to happen is you're supposed to grapple up here, and then when you climb up, you get locked into a cutscene and a mini boss fight. But if you go up here and you have your standing storage, all you gotta do is hold aim and then switch to the rec, and he'll drop out of that state. And then if you do that, wait a little bit and then climb up. So like when Batman's head kind of goes past that ledge and then climb up, there's no mini boss. And if I dive forward here, then it'll activate the cutscene and we'll just completely skip that. This is called hammer skip because it skips the hammer fight. I'll do it one more time. Just like that. Does that make sense?
I feel like I got it. I'm also familiar with speedrunning. Do you want to run through it one more time just in case?
Sure, okay. So getting storage, you just aim, shoot, and switch to another gadget. So there's that. So I now have standing storage on the rec. And to activate that standing storage, all you're going to do is get into the position where you want to use it, hold aim, and then switch to the rec. And then Batman will think he's standing up while he's like falling in the air there.
Yeah.
And then once hit, so to skip, I'll show what actually happens. So you climb up normally, you get locked into all this. That's no good. So instead of that, do the storage, and as soon as Batman's head goes past this ledge, climb up.
So that tricks the game into thinking you're falling, basically, and then you just climb up and then...
Something like that. This ledge
Yeah.
is kind of weird. It's like specifically grappling to it and then climbing up triggers the cutscene. So like breaking off of
Okay.
it and then climbing up it again lets you progress. So just roll forward here. We're into a cutscene. Whoops. So I'm actually gonna quickly crash the game here because this cutscene is unskippable. And fun fact, you can't even Alt F4 this game. So I have to kill it with the task manager to skip
Oh,
this.
jeez.
This is another case where in a normal run, you would just watch that cutscene, but to save
Yeah.
time here, we'll just jump forward a bit.
So how long is this cutscene overall?
Like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, something like that.
That's a long cutscene.
Yeah.
Alfred, el Joker me...
Yeah. Long story short, we get knocked out that window and now we're here. So now you're heading towards GCPD, which is that way. So you can just grapple up to this thing, cancel off of it, grapple up anywhere on this like arch or this ledge, cancel off one of these cars on the Ferris wheel. A lot of the grappling is just this same idea of grapple something, cancel it, keep gliding, dive bomb. Oh, 1 second.
And all of this it's the optimal route. You can be a little sloppy with it when you're first learning,
Yeah.
but okay.
All right, so once you get here, the best thing to do here is just drop down here and then shoot this and then slide directly into one of these guys. The reason that matters is because when you slide, Batman will try to slide into people, even if you're like sliding away from them. I mean, let me try to demonstrate this. So, like, I'm gonna try to slide away from these people, but he's just gonna like turn towards them. So if you try to slide directly into it and there was like a guy standing here, he would like magnet off to the side. Should be no good. So ideally, if there is someone in the way, you just go into them towards where you're trying to go. Another one of these aim into a circle hack things.
So I imagine it. Go ahead.
I don't actually remember where the exact spot is here. Okay, it's there. So yeah, right about there.
I was gonna say, I assume it's the same coordinates every time. It's not like random inside the circle. Yeah.
All right, so there's 2 ways to do this Predator. I'll show both of them. This is kind of the easy way. Just go to this corner, throw a battering at this guy, throw a battering at that far guy over there, do a ground takedown on this guy, do a ground takedown on this guy. Those 3 people will all be grouped together, so you can just throw a smoke grenade into the group, and then do ground takedown cancels on 2 of them. Maybe. There we go. And then this guy just gives up. I'll show the newer way to do it, because I don't think it's too difficult, and it is fairly, like, it's quite a bit faster. So instead of going to the corner, you're going to run around it, back claw this guy, slam him, do a ground takedown cancel, and run over this group, throw a smoke grenade at them, and then do ground takedown cancels. Oops. Sometimes this area gets a little awkward. And last guy gives up.
That one looked considerably faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Run back over here, dive through here, locked in for a little bit till you go through some dialogue.
Alfred.
So I see it getting asked a lot in chat here. Spanish is 11 seconds faster. I believe that's because of all the unskippable cutscenes.
It's specifically dialogue. The cutscenes themselves are always the same length, no matter what. Like when there's like specific animations to them. But when you're like talking on the phone with somebody and can't skip that, that's when it tends to come up.
Okay.
So this hack, the solution in Spanish is that. like dissect, basically. I think it is dissect in English. All right, so
I believe that's accurate. Yeah.
yeah. So now we've got the really big glitch called a zip. So we're gonna make our way up here, go off the side of this water tower over here. So the way you set up a zip is you go into a corner like this one. Then you're going to aim the batarang, let go of it, aim it again, and then try to leave the corner, which you can either do with left click or control. So aim again, cancel. The camera swings over to the side on its own. And then when you throw or shoot a gadget, you get kind of launched. I did it wrong on purpose just for demonstration. But yeah.
Okay.
So we'll reload again. Up here. And I guess this is where I should mention, we're specifically playing this game at 62 frames per second. That is because these zips are frame rate dependent, and that seems to be the ideal frame rate to play this game at. It also is the default if you have VSync disabled, so when you're doing the setup, just make sure you have VSync disabled and you should be fine. And if you're playing on the console versions, those all run at 30 FPS, so a lot of the zips I'm going to do will not work on console, unfortunately. But there's plenty of other console runs you can watch to see what strats they do. So again, to set it up, you do aim, try to break out a corner, and it does that. Doing it on controller is a little trickier because the aim input is also the quickfire batarang input. So if you try to do it as fast as we do it on keyboard, you'll just throw a batarang. You have to aim, let go of it, hold aim for a while, and then let go of it and press B. So the timing for that should look something like that. And you also definitely want to make sure you let go of aim the second time before you press B, otherwise you'll quickfire the wreck. Whoops.
Kind of like that.
Exactly. Timing is kind of difficult. There we go. So I recommend doing that on keyboard if you have the option, because it's way easier to set up and way faster, because you don't have to worry about timing. You just press all the buttons and you're done. Something else to note is that what gadget you use, so once you've set up the zip, you're good. Once to actually do the zip, whether I throw a batarang or shoot the wreck, that will change where the zip takes me. So for this specific zip, we want to use the wreck. I'm just gonna double tap forward to quickfire it, and I'm now halfway across the map. You want to very quickly look up and grapple this bridge once that happens. Then the whole area should all load in and be good. Grab this gargoyle, cancel off of it, go up to the Ace Chemicals sign, go directly off of that.
So that you said the timing was a little tough. I imagine if you can't get it, you can just go to where you're going, and it's just a little slower.
Yeah, for that specific zip, it's not necessary to do, but to do like any of the major skips, you are gonna need to get the hang of it at some point. Or
sure.
Actually, do we use that much? Because there's a second way to do zips that we'll go over later, which doesn't require that weird timing. Whoops. Okay. Don't glide directly towards helicopters because the game does not want you to glide into them. Pro tip. Right, cancel off of that. Go over this building. So there's a bunch of guys down here, and if they see you, it will alert these guys over here. We want to be seen and alert these guys so that this fight goes a little bit faster. So the best way to do that is just kind of glide past them there. So they did see me, which is good. Then we're just going to do a glide kick into this guy. Then ground takedown, cancel all of these people. I don't know why that guy took forever, but that's okay. Then hack this thing. So most of these hacks, like the password doesn't actually change. Like there's only one option here, which is fossils. So you don't have to worry too much about those. In any percent, there's only one at the end of the game that you need to worry about. And while you're waiting for this shutter to open, you can throw a batarang behind you to hit that camera, just for a little extra experience. For this fight, if if you go through this door, what's normally supposed to happen is Batman's supposed to like stare at this guy because he has like a knife, and the game's trying to teach you how knives work. But if you just run forward immediately, you don't have to do that. So just like right after you go through the door, just be holding the run button. And then I like to slide into one of these guys. Do that. There's a little penguin statue here you can hit if you want a little extra experience. You can just quick fire it. Then one more hack here. Except you can't actually do it yet, but you still have to try. I think I actually don't have enough experience. That's interesting. I don't. Huh. Okay. Well, if you want a little extra, you should pretty much never have to do this, but there is a trophy here you can grab. Not too slow. Because ideally you want to have 2 upgrade points coming out of this area going into the first jammer. So what you're going to do is on this menu, go left twice to this combat menu. And then this upgrade is the Bat Swarm. The Bat Swarm itself is not that useful yet, but once you buy the Bat Swarm, you can buy the multi-ground takedown right beside it. This is very useful. And once you've bought this, just press the menu button again to immediately close it. It's a little faster than like going through all the menuing normally. So to use the multi-ground takedown effectively, just grapple up here and then go down this fight. So build up a combo to 7, 5, 6, 7, throw 3 batarangs, and then you can do the multi-ground takedown with B and A, and that will take out everybody that's currently on the ground, which is most of the people. And then just if there's anybody left standing up, do ground takedown cancels. Yeah, there's no limit to how many people that can hit. Oops, I'm like flying through everything. Sorry. Bad habits. So just like doors, you can interrupt these jammer things. Yeah. Aim, shoot, and press A. The timing is exactly the same as doors. So if you got a hang of door cancels, then you'll be able to do these. So there's some advanced zips you can do here, but I'm not going to do them because I don't even have the storage for them, and they're really hard and only work like half the time anyway. But if you're just watching runs and see that, just be aware those are quite difficult, and that's why I'm not covering them. So go over here to the next jammer. There's a bunch of guys around this one, but we can just ignore them. So I'll just go into here, cancel that. You can cancel these from the side, which is very nice. Whoops. And once you're done canceling them, you can just drop smoke. So we're going to do... Actually, I'll reload here. You wouldn't reload in a normal run, but it just makes it easier if those guys aren't here to showcase the next zip. So this zip is a little different because we can't actually do it directly off this corner. Like if I try to do a zip here, I just kind of hit that corner here, which is no good. But just like you can have storage on the wreck, you can also have storage on batarangs. And it's actually a lot easier to get that storage. Literally all you have to do is just aim the batarang or throw it, and you now have that storage. And another pro tip is that you can equip the remote control batarang, because you can also get storage on this. And if you have that equipped and you quick fire a regular batarang, you now have this corner storage on both the regular batarang and the remote control batarang. So that'll be very useful later. For now, it's pretty much just like if you accidentally throw a batarang and lose your storage, you'll
still have it.
Yeah, you'll still have it on the remote control batarang. Let me just do that again. So you're gonna go up to this billboard. You can see kind of like the center part where these like beam things intersect. You're just gonna go slightly to the left of that. Grab up here. And then you're going to do the wreck storage thing we did earlier, where Batman gets locked into place. But since you're on a railing, the timing for it is not too difficult. Just aim, shoot, switch to another gadget, like so. Batman is now standing up, and if you aim and switch to the batarang, Batman now thinks he's in a corner, which means if I throw the batarang, I get zipped. So with that, we can do zips anywhere, anytime. Be very useful.
Okay, so to break that down again, you trick the game into saving a state where Batman is crouching. You get up on a railing or a billboard, and then you trick the game into thinking Batman's in the standing state. Then you reload the crouching state, which lets you zip basically anywhere you want.
Yeah, and you don't have to be on a railing to do that. You can just, like, from here, I can activate the storage and do a zip. Just for that specific zip, you want to be on that billboard.
Yeah. Okay.
Up here. Very cool. So once you're out here, you're going to look for this thing that kind of looks like an AT-AT. And you're going to glide towards it and go down. We're now underneath the city. Pull up, kind of have your head touching the ceiling here to keep your height, but then you want to dive down again really quickly because there's a bunch of mines in the floor. And then you're going to go into this pillar. We'll ideally load everything in. Whoops. All right, so kind of messed that up. That's okay, because it means I can show everything again.
And miss it, so like you just showed, like missing it's not a big deal. You just reload and go again.
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
that's actually fine. I'll just reload.
Okay. So it looks like you are zipping to a platform that's in a building, but it's not loaded, which means you can just go under the map. Is that accurate?
It's part of the inside of the building has collision, but most of it doesn't. So it's just we're landing on one specific thing that does have collision. I think it's this building right here, the Bank of Gotham that we're looking at. Zip inside of. Okay. And one thing I guess I should talk about here, we're gonna do it not right here, but since I actually have a little bit of space to do it, there is a trick called a wreck jump. So there's this little animation Batman does when he dives off of a ledge, where he does like this weird roll thing. And if you shoot the wreck at the same time as doing that, you get launched up into the air.
Oh, wow.
That's quite useful. So it's literally the same idea as a door cancel, except you just have to press A twice because that's how dive rolls work. So the inputs are actually super generous. So there's like a bunch of different ways you can do it that all work. But the way I do it is A, left trigger, right trigger, A. So and if you do it on the ground, he'll just do like this weird hop thing. So if you get that, then you have the right inputs.
Yeah, so that's basically a good way to practice without like dealing with a ledge and jumping off, is just doing it on the ground, and then if you get this animation, then you know you've got the timing down.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And if you're having a lot of trouble with it, you might even just want to try slowing it down, because like I said, the inputs are really generous. I'm like trying to do it slower, but I'm probably not doing it slow enough to demonstrate that, because muscle memory.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then doing off a ledge just looks like that.
That gives you an incredible amount of height.
Yeah. You can go even higher. And that's okay. So, going back over here. One thing I guess I haven't mentioned is that gliding is generally much better on keyboard. So this gliding controller is kind of awkward. Okay. Once you glide into that, you can just glide over to these stairs here, just land on them. Then go off in this direction and grapple up here. So the place we're going is like all the way over there. So we need to glide pretty far. So to get enough height, we need to wreck jump off of this ledge. Oh. Just like that. You like dive and pull back up.
Oh, wow.
Most of the stuff
There's no
is
collision
not solid.
still.
Yeah, the game does not think you are here. It thinks you are somewhere else, so everything's kind of broken. Fortunately, this area is loaded, so you can just dive in here. I like to go to the left side of this jammer and then just start canceling it. And once you've done that, you can just drop smoke so all these people leave you alone. Grapple up to this walkway. And there's these like designs here, or there's like these circles or whatever. There's 2 of them, and then there's 2 more of them. So you want to be in the center of these 2, and then you're actually going to set up another zip. So aim, shoot, rec, switch to another gadget, and then double tap 1 to quickfire a batarang. Well, pressing 1 the first time will switch to the batarang, activating the storage, and then pressing it again will quickfire it. So do that, and then you need to immediately start gliding so that you don't lose too much of your height. Then you're just gonna go right back over here.
And the reason, go ahead.
Actually, you should go ahead.
Okay, so the reason you were able to do that without setting it up is because you had already stored 2 of them. But if somebody's like not able to do that, it might be because they didn't save 2 different batarangs, and so they just need to resave it, basically.
Yeah. So anytime you aim your batarang or throw it or whatever, you lose your storage. So ideally, you can hold on to the storage for as long as possible. Oh, also, if you die or reload checkpoint, you also lose your storage. Okay. So if you aren't able to do that zip, there are a couple alternatives. So let me just load a different save file here so I can show those.
Sure. And so basically, if you're having a problem with it, one thing that you might want to check is that you actually have swords. So basically just redo the storage if you're finding you're having a hard time to make sure that you actually have it.
Yeah. So when you're down here, I believe it's this corner that you want to get for this zip. So go back over here. Again, in between these 2 circles on the second rectangle thing. And then you can do it again. Yep, that was the right corner. And if you're having trouble with that zip or like the glide after it, there is another way that might be easier. So let me show that off. So we want to go up here instead to this corner. And then you're going to set up a zip directly off of this corner. So aim again, cancel, and then throw a regular batarang. You're in this weird place out of bounds. You can either rec jump off of this ledge, or you can just run into this. Bat will do a little hop and let you bounce off that wall. And then you're free to just glide all the way to the end here. You just land on this, and you want to grapple up specifically to this grapple point, or just like anywhere on that side. If you grapple to this, the game will sometimes crash if it's loading something and you grapple there. So generally just want to grapple here so you don't have to worry about that. Then once you're here, you're going to glide forward into this. So, okay, this is good. So at some point, I'm going to step forward, and the game is going to tell me that I have entered the subway. And then this whole subway area is going to load in properly, and it's going to load in the overworld. And I mean, if I do that, so once everything loads in, I'm kind of stuck down here and I can't get out. If that happens, you can just go back over here, grapple up again, because it'll load in the whole subway tunnel instead, because there's a bunch of load triggers in this whole area. Okay. So what you want to do when you get that metro thing, you want to just immediately grapple something. And as long as you grapple something, he'll just kind of go through all the walls to get there. So now we're heading towards the museum again. There's a bunch of guys standing outside, so we're going to try to skip that fight. So I like to grapple up to this building. A little awkward, but you can bounce off of it. This is not really the right way to do it. Let me try that again. Bounce off this building. Go past them all. Let go of the glide, and I like to use the mouse wheel to open the door just so that you are pretty much guaranteed to hit it. And if you don't get this fight skip, then you can just do the fight normally. And since you have multi-ground takedown, it's pretty fast. So if you're having a lot of trouble with it, you don't need to worry about it too much.
The
All right, now we can actually hack this thing. And it's dinosaur because we're in a museum and there's a dinosaur. Very creative. So you're just gonna glide down here and do a takedown on this guy. Just insta-kill him, and then shoot the armored guy with the wreck, and then you just do a ground takedown, cancel, and finish that guy with the battering. Coming up, we're gonna do Dino Skip. This is the first like huge major skip in the game, and we're gonna pretty much combine everything we've learned up to this point about using the wreck and storage and all that. So first thing you're gonna do is you're going to get this corner here at the top of the stairs on both batterings. So again, quick firing a regular battering with the remote control battering equipped gives you both. Then we'll talk to this guy. This gives us dialogue. As soon as we're done his dialogue, you can just dive roll over here so that you can get to this door. I'm like forced to walk right now and I can't really do anything until Batman does this. All right, so we are going to cancel opening this door with, again, left trigger, right trigger A, like so. We'll deload this room. So this is gonna be a little tricky because you can't really see anything, but basically you're just gonna walk forward until Batman gets to these stairs. You can see he kind of like starts moving up a little bit. A little subtle, but if you're looking for it, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, so... And then once you get to those stairs, just dive roll, look up, zoom in, and then just kind of inch forward until you get a grapple point. And you want to specifically hold the grapple button here so that you're hanging off this ledge. If you accidentally go up, just crouch and press A to go back down. So here we're going to climb up, and then immediately we're going to dive roll forward again, and then dive roll to the right. So this, just spamming the A button to make sure he does it as soon as possible. Just like that. So this looks like the correct position. Then we are going to get wreck lock. So aim, shoot the wreck, switch to explosive gel very quickly so that he's in this locked state with the gel out. Then switch to hold aim and switch to a regular battering. And then throw the battering, immediately start gliding and turn to the left. I also highly recommend having detective mode on if you don't have it on already, because it'll make it a lot easier to see things out of bounds. So throw a battering, immediately start gliding, turn off to the left. You'll see kind of the loaded area here. You're gonna go right about here. You can see these guys in the gladiator pit down there. So that's how you know you're in about the right spot. Then while you're on here, you wanna be about here. I actually haven't done this in a while, because this is the easier version of this skip. I think this is about right. So then you're gonna do another zip. So do rec lock. Then you want to, something to note is that how quickly you throw the battering does matter. So if you slowly let him aim, pull out the battering, and then throw it, that'll have a different result than just quick firing it immediately after activating the storage. So for this one, we want to do it very quickly. So I just hold aim and then mash 1. Okay, so now we're in a weird hallway here. So generally you're gonna have to go off to the right and then run forward. Go, Batman will jump across something. Go off to the left, kind of turn around here. You're going for that door on the far side. That, run forward, Batman will start gliding. Eventually, dive bomb, pull up. You're gonna just plant your head directly into the ceiling and then just mash the grapple button until you get a grapple prompt. There you go. And then you just gotta run to this door. You can do dive roll cancels here if you want, but you can also just run normally. So that's the easy version of that skip. There is a harder version that I will also show. But when you're just starting out, you should probably just do the easy way.
So all of that looked very complicated. That is, like, how is the timing on that?
I'll go over it again just to demonstrate. So just getting storage on this corner, and then the timing is not too tricky as long as you understand all of the individual elements of it, like getting the door cancel.
And then
Like you can go through this all very slowly to make sure that you're doing it right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so a lot of it seemed like it was just knowing where you're going. So as long as you know each step, it's pretty simple to recreate.
Yeah. One other thing to mention is you can get a grapple here, which is like behind you going towards that way, which is not right. But if you get that, then you can just turn around, inch forward a bit, and you should get the right prompt. That's good. Roll, roll, roll to the right. That's the only part that's like kind of tight on timing, is just getting all those rolls.
Okay.
Because if you're like slightly out of position, the zip will do something completely different.
And so basically what you're doing right now is there is geometry that's loaded but you can't see, and you're just navigating that geometry while the level's deloaded to basically navigate the level and get to the destination, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Get our rec lock, maybe. It's very easy to accidentally throw a batarang while doing that. If that happens, no worries. That's why you have it on the remote control batarang. So you can just switch to that instead. And then quickfire.
And then if you mess up on both of them, you just reload and go again,
yeah.
Right?
You can get the storage out of bounds, but I find that's like not really worth the hassle, so it's generally best to just reload, yeah.
Okay.
Then you're going here. There's like, I don't know if this is really even showing on stream, but there's kind of this like square on the ground. So being at like this corner of that square is kind of where you want to be.
Okay.
Then, whoops, rec lock again. Then switch to and quickfire the batarang very quickly. Okay, I guess that was actually not the right position. Because that did not work. So when you know what you're doing, you can kind of go through this quite a bit quicker.
Yeah. So that door right in front of you there, is that the end goal, or are you just using that as reference?
That's just reference. That door is the exit to the building. The actual door you want to go to is all the way over there. It's not actually loaded in right now, so you can't see it.
You're basically just using a bunch of set reference points so that you know where your location is at all times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I kind of saw the door there, I think.
Yeah. The one you're going for at the end is past that. I guess further back than I did last time. Okay. And sometimes this puts you in like a weird place in this hallway, and it's not always the same, so you kind of just have to like navigate around a bit to figure out where you are.
Are you on like flat ground here, or is there a risk of like falling through the floor?
This is flat until the part where he starts gliding, and then it's kind of no man's land.
But basically, up until the part where you start gliding, you're just
you're just in a hallway.
Basically, you're walking forward until you figure out where you can actually advance.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Then grab up there, and then you're home free. So I'll go over the other method as well now. The way you set it up is fundamentally the same, but we do one zip instead of two zips. So, idea: cancel this door, roll up the stairs, get the grapple point, dive roll, dive roll, dive roll. Then when you do this zip, this one you want to do, for this harder method, you do the zip very quickly instead of doing it slowly like we do in the easier method. So very quickly zip. But not too quickly either, because otherwise that'll happen. I'm a little lost now. Okay. It's always a way to figure out where you are. Just gotta have a pretty solid grasp of the layout of the room.
Yeah, once you get a hang of the area, it's easier to recover.
Yeah. So we'll do this single zip, and then we're going to basically glide away from the loaded area and then curve back in, because if you're too close to this loaded area, then the next area will load in before we can be inside of it.
Okay.
So you can see the loaded area there. We're going to glide away from it and turn back towards here. And just go straight here. And then about halfway through, turn back towards the loaded area to load in this room that we are now inside of and get all these doors to show up. You can tell it's loaded because the doors suddenly exist, and then just grapple there.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this method's quite a bit harder, mainly because you have to do that initial glide right after the zip. You have to very quickly go in the correct direction so you don't accidentally load something in. So I can't even it's hard to even demonstrate how to do it wrong or anything, because you just have so little time to do anything. So highly recommend just doing the 2-zip method when you're just starting out. And that is Dino Skip. So once you've done all that, go through the door. The game is a little confused right now, so you got to reload checkpoint. Absolutely do not quit to the main menu right now, because if you do, your save file will be corrupted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the button's right beside the reload button, so be very careful about the menuing.
Does that happen anytime you're outside of the game boundaries, during any of the zips?
So specifically, going through a door that's out of bounds, that's called double out of bounds. Anytime you do that, the game has no idea where you are. Okay. So if you quit to the menu, it just can't load it. But once you go through another door, you'll be totally fine. So here is another skip that I will try to demonstrate, but not necessarily recommend doing. So there's this glitch you can do with the wreck once again, where you interrupt the animation of placing explosive gel. And if you do it just right, the gel warps back to the original position. So I'll try to do this. It's quite difficult, so bear with me here. Okay. Practicing this earlier, but obviously not enough. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, the gel is over there now, instead of being on the ground where it should be. So the reason that's useful is because there's this wall here. What's supposed to happen when you just place gel on this wall normally is this dude breaks through it, and then you're locked into another mini boss fight. So instead of doing that, what you can do is warp the gel onto the wall. That looks a little something like this. You place the gel in the corner here. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do the setup here, but I like to just walk directly into this corner. Aim, shoot. You aim, shoot the wreck, and then wait a little bit, and then do X to do quickfire explosive gel. Aim, shoot, wait a little bit. And if you do it just right, the gel is kind of weirdly stuck inside the wall. You can blow it up and you don't have to do the mini boss. So that is quite difficult, but it's a thing you can do. What were you gonna say?
So basically, because you're not actively spraying it on the wall, the game just doesn't load the mini boss.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's specifically placing it manually triggers it. So if you're having a lot of trouble with that, which you probably will, you can just do the mini boss fight. Fortunately, it's not too slow, especially if you have punching bound to the mouse wheel. So it seems like the best way to do this fight is this little cutscene we'll play, and then pretty much immediately once I gain control, I'm going to start punching this dude with the mouse wheel. And as you can see, if you have a free scroll wheel, that's very fast. Ooh, I got a weird thing. So normally you have to do 50 hits on him, but if you punch him fast enough at the beginning of the fight, sometimes it'll only take 15 hits.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty cool that I actually got that here. So yeah, and then once you're done with that, you just knock all those people down with batarangs and do a multi-grand takedown. So yeah, the Joe Warp thing doesn't save that much time. So definitely not something you need to worry about too much when you're just starting.
Is now a good time for a break?
Sure, yeah. Let me just do this
Yep.
and we can... Okay.
All right, so we're going to go to a quick wellness break here just to get some water, stretch, anything you need to do in the next few minutes. Before we switch over to the break, I'd just like to remind everybody that the Frame Fatales Games Committee applications are now open, so you can go to gamesdonequick.com to apply. And Frame Fatales has been selected as a finalist for the Game Her Awards, so you can learn more about that with exclamation vote. We do have quite a few new shows starting up in the next couple of weeks, so head over to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix, and you can watch our Twitter for more info on when all those shows start. And we also launched a new YouTube channel. It's called GDQ Sum of Best Segments. Sum is spelled S-U-M. It's a highlight channel with regular videos like our main channel, but it has small highlights of all of the shows on the hotfix as well as the events. So you can go to gamesdonequick/Sum of Best Segments to see that. So yeah, we're going to go to a quick wellness break, so make sure to grab some water, go to the bathroom, anything you need to do, stand up, stretch your legs. We'll be back in a few minutes with more learning of the game. Hello everyone, and welcome back to How to Train a Speedrunner. We are in the middle of Batman Arkham City with chicken nuggets. If you want to just go right back into it, feel free.
All right, so we just rescued Freeze here, so we're going to make our way out of here. One thing that actually matters quite a bit right now is we need to have an upgrade point available for the this upgrade, which is the hacking gadgets range upgrade. It's easy to remember which one it is. It's just the one in the bottom left corner of this gadget menu, which is the second one up here. So you need to have that. If you don't have enough XP, there are a bunch of things you can do back here. Like you can blow up this Titan container, for example. It'll give you some amount. I don't actually remember how much it gives you. Let's find out. It's a side mission objective, so I imagine it's quite a lot. 500, so there you go. Because if you can't get that hacking range upgrade, you will actually be soft-locked here.
Is that just because of like an unintentional route?
It'll, yeah, so it'll make sense when I go through this. So I'm going to cancel this door again. This door is just another door that you can go through, and canceling it saves about half a second. But just to recap, you hold forward on the left stick, hold aim, and then shoot and press A at the same time. Like so. And you can just kind of go through it. So these guys aren't real yet. They're just kind of there to show something. So normally you're supposed to hack this thing before you get in here, but since you're on the far side of these bars, if you don't have that hacking range thing, you can't reach it. If you do have the range, you can just barely reach it. So very much need that. Hack this. And as soon as you hack this thing, these guys will suddenly exist, but we're just going to ignore them. Run right past them. Then we're going to do a wreck jump over this railing. So just to recap, you are... Hang on a second. A, left trigger, right trigger, A. Whoops. Like that. Oh. There we go. I'll do that again over here where there's not thugs trying to wreck me. A, left trigger, right trigger, A. If you do it on the ground, it does this little hop thing. If you do it by a ledge, it goes up into the air. Alright, So headed down this hallway into a predator room. This predator room's a little weird because it tries to give you a little cinematic tutorial thing as soon as you go in. But if you cancel this door and then kind of like sneak through it and don't look up towards the guys, it won't play that tutorial. So I'm gonna cancel it. Immediately crouch, point the camera down, and just kind of sneak through there. If you get stuck inside the door, you'll probably just have to reload. But if you go kind of diagonally out, you shouldn't have to worry about that. So now, dive roll over the sledge, look up here, grapple in between these two guys, and do a double takedown. Guy's kind of clueless, so a lot of the time you can just sneak behind him without having to worry about it. Do a knockout smash on him. As soon as this guy gets near the railing, just yank him over. And that guy's in kind of a bad spot. Do ground takedown cancels. Just to recap that, all you're doing is mashing quick fire bat claw. Kind of a bad predator, but that's okay. While you're waiting for those guys to stand up, there's a couple XP items you can get here, like that penguin and that penguin. And this is the guy you want to talk to, so as soon as he's ready for it, just talk to him. Skip the dialogue with mouse wheel. From here, the fastest way to get out of this room is to go over to this gargoyle. Can't actually go to it if you're zoomed in, but it's there. Grapple directly to it. And glide to the door. Cancel it just like any other door. You can do more dive roll cancels down this hallway. Same idea as ground takedown cancels. You're just mashing the quickfire backline inputs and dive rolling at the same time. It's kind of hard to control, especially when you have to like go around corners and stuff. So if you're having a lot of trouble actually saving time with it, you can just not do it. I like to hit that to get that out of the way. So there's two ways you can get across here. One is you can just rec jump, glide across. The other way is to grapple up to this thing, and then you can just kind of bounce off the wall here, dive bomb, and then glide across. Nice and easy.
Do you need to go basically right up against the water to get that height, or is that just the optimal speed?
You kind of have to get pretty close to it because of how the diving mechanic works. Okay. Like how it pulls you back up. The door you can cancel to save half a second. So here's Penguin. We're just going to run up to him. You'll have to slide when you get to these, like, whatever these are called, these balconies, so that he doesn't ice you. So here you're just going to hit him with the disruptor. Let go of both the triggers once you've disrupted them, because what a lot of people will do accidentally is they'll keep holding left trigger, and then when they go to punch Penguin, they'll actually place explosive gel, and that'll just mess up everything. So just make sure you've let go of the triggers once you don't actually need to be holding them anymore. All right, and now we've got our first boss fight, which is Solomon Grundy. He is a giant zombie dude powered by electricity. So the way you fight this guy is by destroying these generators on the ground. The nice thing about these is the hitboxes on them are super generous. So even though that gel is like barely touching the generator, it's still counted. So optimally, you will blow up the generators even while they're electrified just by placing it around the rim. All right. And then here, there's supposed to be a cutscene that plays like this whole cutscene. But if you wait a little bit until Penguin says that Bushkando word, you can reload checkpoint, and then it just skips forward. Just like that.
Okay.
Now we're in the second phase. Same idea, just place gel on everything while avoiding attacks occasionally. Fun fact with rec storage. I know you can get rec storage with, again, you shoot the rec and then you switch to another gadget and you just have it. You can actually activate rec storage during cutscenes. So just aim and pull out the rec. For this one, it doesn't actually do anything. It's just for fun, but everyone still does it anyway because it's pretty funny. Grundy's supposed to be like holding you right now, but it's not.
So does it not take control away from you, or is it just like that certain
It's something about the wreck specifically is wrong, I guess. All right, so for this last phase, the generators are pretty much always going to be on, so you gotta, place gel on them. Ideally, you don't get hit by that shockwave attack thing. There you go. And then there'll be another checkpoint reload here. Right after you rip out Grundy's heart, land on the ground, you can just reload checkpoint. And then as soon as the game loads back in, you can just start mashing the slide button, which is right trigger. So you're just gonna slide towards Penguin. As soon as you get to him, just do a triple stun. And that's it. So after that, you gotta scan this thing on the ground. You're supposed to follow like a blood trail to find a ninja, but we're just not gonna do that. Instead, we're going to grab storage on this corner, the bottom of the stairs here, on both batarangs as usual. Grapple up here, and to leave the museum. Once you're out here, you can just roll off of this balcony, and you want to be about here in like this dome thing. There's like the really thick beam going diagonally there. You want to be standing right about here. Then you're going to set up a zip so it's getting wreck lock, which is very quickly aiming, shooting the wreck, and then switching to another gadget. And once you're locked in that state, equip the batarang and throw it. It's not typically where it takes you. Typically it takes you like over there, but this is fine. You can just glide over here, and this will look very familiar. We're back in the subway in the same weird out of bounds state we were in earlier, because we need to take a little bit of a detour to unlock an upgrade, specifically unlock the ability to buy an upgrade. Okay, so we're gonna do another wreck jump here. Again, A, left trigger, right trigger, A. Even if you don't get very much height off that wreck jump, you can still make it work. This area is pretty generous in terms of height. Even though I'm super low there, the ledge is like here, so it's fine.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Once you're down here, you're gonna go off to the right over here. Kick through this wooden wall, because it's not real. Then in here, you'll see like this kind of weird heart shape on the wall under like a little question mark icon. This graffiti, just go right up to that. Wreck lock. Switch to the batarang to activate your storage, and then shoot the wreck. Now you're in this area, and you're free to hack that panel. The reason we hack this panel is because it gives you the option to buy the line launcher tightrope upgrade, which will be important later. While you're waiting for this to open, you can just hit those teeth over there for some free experience. You can cancel this door. And to get across here, you're just gonna do another wreck jump. Just like that. Now we're in the next major area, which is the underground. So there's a bunch of guys over here. You could fight them, or you can do this. Go around them, go up here, and there's this weak ceiling that you can place explosive gel on. You don't want to be directly in the corner, but like right about here should work. Blow it up, and it just knocks all of them out.
Okay, that's pretty convenient.
Yeah. So go through this door, and as soon as you do, you actually want to reload checkpoint. For some reason, a skip we do later just doesn't work if you don't reload checkpoint. We have no idea why. So, yeah. You've done that. To
That's
do
interesting.
Yeah. Do this predator, you're gonna throw a smoke grenade on the ground here. Kick this guy, he'll just fly off the ledge there. Then you can do ground takedown cancels, ideally. There we go. Just quick fire back claw. Whoops. Something like that. There's a lot of weird ways this predator can go. I don't know why this guy's running over here, but you can just yank him over the ledge, maybe. There we go. Yeah, once you're done with that, you gotta wait for Fiona to stand up, which is the hostage in this room. While she's doing that, you can get storage on this corner, again, on both the regular battering and the remote control battering. Because we will need those for a zip later and a zip right now, which is dead parent skip. I call it that because there is a cutscene with your dead parents, and we don't want to do it. Okay, that's not
Just kind
really,
of like the flashback sequence.
Yeah, something like that. So ideally you glide. Okay, I don't know why he's doing that hop, but whatever. Ideally you can just glide all the way to this door. So you're going to, this is the next major skip, so there's gonna be a lot going on with this one as well. You're gonna interrupt opening this door. But when you go into that room, you get stuck in this weird first-person perspective. So you actually have to go through the door again, and then turn around and go through it again. And then as soon as you're back in, just grapple up immediately. And there are a bunch of gargoyles. If you want to be sure it's the correct one, there's one directly behind you, one diagonally, and then one there. So that's the one you want. So go over here, turn on detective mode so you can see better out of bounds. We're going to set up another zip, and immediately after the zip, we need to start gliding. So, our zip, switch to batarang, throw it, immediately start gliding. You want to just glide straight on here. If you go too far to the right, there is some like invisible geometry here you can hit, and that'll mess you up. So just, for now, just go straight. And you can start to turn back in. When you get close to it, go down, pull back up. Just hit your head directly in the ceiling here. Dive again. And you want to be on sort of the left side of this gap here, because the right side doesn't let you climb up.
Oh, weird.
Now that you're here, there's this manhole that we need to cancel. It's the same idea as a door cancel, but it's a little trickier because since you have to be holding forward and you're not like going into a wall, timing it can be kind of tricky. So basically you want to just be right on top of it when you press A. So left trigger, right trigger, A. Just like that. So now these doors are closed, which would be a problem, except it's not. So we're gonna go do some parkour over here. So just line launch, land on top of this basket here, then go across to this thing. Here, just run kind of diagonally into this corner. It'll let you climb up here. Then move backwards until Batman stands up. And then you can use the line launcher. Bounce off this wall, turn towards this wall. And we're in kind of a weird place. There's a, it's kind of hard to see, but there's some pillars there. Like,
Yeah.
his head is in between the two pillars. We're gonna try to jump towards that. There we go. Once you're on that, you're going into this gap. Just go for it. Ideally, you land on this pipe. If you land on the lower pipe, or you just fall anywhere down there, that's totally fine. You can just go through that door and you're good. But ideally, you're up on this higher pipe, and then you can just line launch over here. And the cutscene trigger is just up here. And that is Dead Parent Skip.
Pues que comiencen las pruebas.
So for the parkour section, are you just using the zip because it is always going to be like, basically it's a setup. Like you always know it's going to bring you here, which makes it everything easier? Or is there another reason that you're using it?
The zip of the parkour, I'm not sure what you mean.
Sorry, the zip line. The
Oh, you need the line launcher.
okay, the line launcher. Thank you.
You have to use it to get up there. It's the only way, because it pulls you off the ground a little bit, so that's the only way to really have enough height. There is a way to do the parkour with wreck jumps, but it's way, way harder. Like, I've never actually successfully saved time with it, despite many attempts.
Okay.
You just have to follow Talia here. Basically, just stay as close to her as possible so that you can trigger the next cutscene as quickly as possible. And now we have a brand new skip, actually. This was literally discovered earlier this week, so that's cool. And I personally only learned it yesterday, so apologies if I don't have the full nuance of it down, because it is brand new. So just have to interact with this chalice here. So normally what basically happens in these trials is you can see there's like that pillar there. Basically, Raish will talk to you, or Raish's ghost, or whatever this is. He'll go to the pillar, and then you glide to the pillar. But we can skip all the pillars in this first area by basically just going straight to the end. So first, we have to wait for him to stop talking. So ideally, you can just glide directly off this ledge to do it. Personally, I find it much easier if you do a wreck jump at the beginning, but it's definitely not necessary. So just wreck jump off of that. And we're just gonna make our way over here. Not sure why I'm doing this glide on controller. Go around the left side of that big pillar. Around all this stuff. Then towards there's like a pit there, which is where the end of the area is supposed to be. If you go under this rock formation, something like this, you can see there's like, some of this stuff doesn't have collision on it, and there's like this kind of cave entrance looking thing. You basically want to glide in through that, and then once you're here, you don't have to land on this. I'm just doing it so I can show what's actually happening. And then once you've done that, you can just glide through here, and you will be in the next area.
So strange that there's no collision there, but it works.
Yeah, there are a handful of walls in this game that just have no collision on them, which is quite useful. We will see a little bit more of that later. Doing 360s for fun. It's not necessary or saving time at all. You gotta wait a little bit because while Raish is talking here, this pillar is rising up, and also the next pillar, you can't actually land on it until Raish gets there, so you don't want to leave too early. I left kind of late there, actually, which is, leaving late is better than going way too early. All right, so once you're up here, a bunch of like sand ninjas are gonna spawn. We're going to try to take a bunch of them out, so you can place explosive gel here. Then punch this guy twice, blow up the explosive gel. One of them just falls off, very nice. And then just juggle between two of them. Oh, you know what? I just remembered. I completely forgot, but you actually want to buy some upgrades here. You want to buy critical strikes and combo boost. Ideally, I would have bought this before I started this fight, because critical strikes make it a little bit faster. And just so you know which ones they are, it's in the combat menu in the bottom left corner here, just these two. Yeah, ideally just juggle between two people until they're knocked out and then hit the last guy. I like to glide off this platform pretty much right when Raish finishes the first line of his dialogue there. I want to hover over here until Raish gets here and opens up the pit. You can tell when it kind of changes and opens up. If you touch it too early, you just kind of die.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, and I should also mention, you don't really want to die at any point during the trials because you are trying to keep storage from earlier for a skip later. If you do lose it, there's plenty of backups, especially now, so it's not the worst thing, but preferably you don't die. And I mean, obviously dying is slow. tally here. And then we're going into
Desafío final
a
de
boss
aguarda al
fight
otro lado de esta puerta.
with Ra's al
Que los
Ghul.
espíritus sean
So
bondadosos.
in this fight, we're going to have to get rec storage a couple times because it'll be very important to skip a couple things. So right off the bat, you're kind of just waiting for the fight to start, so you might as well get it right now. So again, just aim, shoot the rec, switch to another gadget. You have rec storage, you're good. So as soon as he pops down here, and when he's right about to charge you, just dive out of the way, and then run towards his bugs here, or sand ninjas or whatever they are. Most of the time, they'll dodge batarangs if you throw them, but if they're about to attack you, they won't. And make sure, don't throw a batarang at the last guy in that group, because the last guy will be forced into a beatdown, because it's actually Raish. So the next thing you're gonna do, there's this cloud thing that pops up here. You're gonna try to stand directly on top of it, and then you're going to aim and switch to the rec. It'll kind of just stop it from pushing you. And then once you're here, you are going to do, there's a lot going on in this fight. You're ideally going to do double shots where you basically shoot the rec manually and then quick fire it, pretty much at the same time. So that looks something like this. That just gives you more opportunities to hit them while the circle is spinning super fast. And now you want to get rec storage again for later.
And that's just a little faster if you can't get the timing down. You just take a little longer in the fight, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Pretty much. One little unskippable cutscene.
Estamos destinados a gobernar esta tierra, despojarla de la escoria de la humanidad. Solo nosotros podemos hacerlo. Mi padre es anciano. Su momento ha pasado. El nuestro está empezando.
Are any of the boss fights particularly challenging in the speedrun?
Tu destino.
Or is it more
Not
just
really.
like finding optimizations?
I would say this is the hardest fight purely because
Tendrás que morir.
if you're doing it on hard, it's quite difficult. Just because the game is hard. But also there's a pretty tight skip at the end of this fight.
Okay.
So for now, basically a bunch of sand ninjas are going to pop out of the ground. You're going to use the mouse wheel to counter them all very quickly, so you don't have to manually press the button 800 times. And we just have a big old sand ninja fight, so just punch everybody basically. Somebody's about to attack you, just throw a batarang at them. If Race charges you, dodge out of the way, throw a batarang at them. Ideally, it looks something like that. And find the center of the arena. As he pops out of the ground, pull out your rec storage. Get some double shots in. All right, now you want to quickly get rec storage again, because we're going to do a pretty complicated skip here. So Raish is going to jump out again. You're going to have to counter a bunch. And then after that, you're going to do a beatdown on him. The very last hit of the beatdown is going to be you're going to do an attack from above. And you want to break out of that attack, stun Raish, and then throw batarangs at him. That will skip a 45-second long cutscene. And
Wow.
the timing for it is kind of tricky. It's also much easier on keyboard. So this is another thing I highly recommend doing on keyboard. So countering them. Beat down. You can do these punches kind of slowly if you want to just be sure you can get the timing right. There's the attack. Pull a rec storage, stun, throw batarangs. And it triggers this cutscene. So this is important both because it saves, again, 45 seconds, but also that cutscene forces you to pull out the remote control batarang, which would mean you would lose your remote control batarang storage if you didn't do this skip.
Okay.
That's a pretty big one. All right, now that we are done with Raish, we can get out of here. So since we got into this area out of bounds, we also have to leave it out of bounds. So the easiest way to do that is to just go right up against this door, in the middle of the door, then set up a zip, switch to remote control batarang, which ideally you still have storage on, and throw it. Now you're in this hallway heading towards the final area, just kind of deloaded, and line launch down it. Kind of just like that. So I'll reload because there's a whole bunch of backup strats here if you are to lose your storage or anything like that. And I guess something else I should mention, the zip is super weird. We don't really understand it, and because of how annoying it is to set up, we can't really test it that well. But some people do it the way I just did it. Some people go like into this corner. Some people do it like this. It seems to like work differently for different people for reasons we don't fully understand. So you might have to try a couple different things to see what actually works for you.
That's interesting, but at least there's a way to, you know, deal with it.
Yeah. So if you've lost your storage, the backup strat you can do is you can buy the tightrope upgrade right now. So it's in the third row, fourth column over here. You buy this upgrade because, like corners, you can get tightrope storage on batarangs as well, and you can actually do zips with tightrope storage.
Okay.
So, to set this one up, just go through this door, step a little bit to the left, and then do your tightrope zip. Might be a slow zip, or maybe I didn't step far enough to the left. I admittedly have not done this one very much.
Ras es un adicto a la fosa. Le he dado una oportunidad de superar esa adicción. O volveré para hacerlo yo mismo. ¿Te ha dado Robin esa muestra de sangre?
Let me go through the door again.
Hola, Barb. ¿Cómo me alegro de oír tu voz?
Soy yo. ¿Qué está pasando por ahí?
Bruce, esto va mal. El Hospital General tiene al menos 30 casos
I
confirmados.
don't know why this isn't working.
Cuenta en el Mercy. Parece que el patrón
That's
se
weird.
repite por todo.
Try it one more time.
Okay.
Fortunately, this backup strat also has a backup strat, so
So there's a lot of backup strats for this area.
yeah.
Estoy volviendo para ver a Phil.
Okay, there we go.
La muestra
There
de
you go.
sangre que le he
I
extraído.
was probably just standing in the wrong spot or something. That's usually what's going wrong. If a zip is failing for you, just make sure you're in like exactly the correct spot because some of them are pretty tight. Okay, and then you're in this hallway, so you can just launch freedom just like the other one. So the backup strat, you would pretty much only have to do this if you didn't have enough experience to buy the tightrope upgrade.
Siento decepcionar.
So what you do instead is you basically do some of the parkour we did earlier. So you're just gonna line launch down here, then you can line launch here.
Ras y su
You can also just like go to the
base debajo de Arkham City. Y extrae
stand on the basket and then line launch to this like we did before, but it's a little faster if you do it
lleva siglos.
just directly from the
Perfeccionando poco a poco el proceso.
where you
The
load
line
in.
launcher.
Yeah.
Resurgir de entre los muertos.
So climb up here. Same ideas before. Move backwards. Line launch here. Bounce off over here.
Tiene efectos secundarios.
Now from here you're gonna have to rec jump off of this ledge. This ledge is really tricky because it does not end where it looks like it ends.
Ras quería convencerme para usar su
That's where it actually ends.
arriesgado. Cuando acabe aquí, tendré que
So
investigar más esa
keep that in mind. If you want to know the position, you can just do that.
Yeah.
Back a little bit. So you're gonna rec jump off this. Up here, turn on detect mode so you can see this stuff a little more clearly, and then just kind of run towards that, glide until he lands on something.
Robin esa muestra de sangre.
Then this isn't super well defined, but basically you're just gonna like climb around a bit, drop down into stuff,
¿Qué está pasando por ahí?
and then yeah, you're in the hallway.
El Hospital General tiene al menos 30 casos confirmados. Hay casos
That's like,
en el Mercy.
as long as you're comfortable with the parkour at least and rec jumping, that's a pretty easy backup to do, I think.
Okay.
But obviously quite a bit slower than doing either of the zips.
Yeah.
Then this is another double out of bounds situation where the game doesn't really know what's going on, so reload checkpoint. Again, don't quit to the main menu. It will soft lock your file, or sorry, it'll corrupt your file, which is worse than soft locking it. Up here, you can do a little rec jump here, maybe. I'm actually not even sure if that saves time, but I've been doing it for so long, and it's just like a cool little swag strat. Okay, so you're gonna leave out this way, but there's this ceiling here. It's kind of blocking your exit. Because normally you're supposed to come through this area the other way and blow this up from above. But fortunately, If you just stand on this book here and aim the line launcher right about here, there's like a big red book there, or brown, or whatever color that is. Go like to the left of that, basically. And, okay, not quite. Not quite. There we go. So now you're standing on this Riddler trophy trap thing, and you can just inch forward a little bit, and this lets you place explosive gel on the ceiling and blow it up.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah. Just glide out here, go around all those chains and stuff to get out this way. And since you're not really supposed to be here right now, this room is kind of messed up. There's just like doors missing and stuff, and walls missing. So that's kind of convenient for us. The ideal thing to do is once you pop out of the grate, just line launch. Then you can line launch out here. Go into a glide off in this general direction. Grapple the thing there. Kind of fly out, fly back in. Make sure you're all the way back in bounds before you grapple anything, because if you can very easily get stuck out of bounds if you grapple too early. This whole area kind of loads in as you're grappling.
Okay.
Ideally, you don't have that. That's not really ideal. Ideally, you would do a glide kick here, but if that happens, you can just come at them on the ground. That fight. If you do that correctly, you can do the multi-ground takedown on all of them. Because now one of the upgrades we bought earlier was the combo boost, which lets you do multi-ground takedowns with a 5 combo instead of an 8 combo. So with that, fights can go quite a bit faster. So from here, you're going to line launch across here. This glide path's a little tricky, but if you're not super comfortable with it, basically it's just a lot of going like around stuff instead of over stuff. So you can just go over stuff to do it the easier way. But like grapple the side of this building, kind of go off of it. Ideally actually go into a glide. This game's kind of weird when you like cancel grapples. It doesn't always let you glide. I don't fully understand what that's about. Grapple up here. You can go off the side of this water tower. Just cancel off of it, let the momentum take you a bit, and then glide. Same thing on this, cancel off this, let the momentum take you a bit, and then glide. So here, we're going into G-Speedy again. You can drop down there, like just from the glide, you can just land down there and then shoot this thing open. But I personally find it much easier to be up here. Shoot that open, and then, well, you don't have to do the drop attack on the guy, but that actually does help. Then slide in. So now we have the Mr. Freeze boss fight. So since we're on easy, we have to do 4 different kinds of takedowns on him. The current strat is... the first thing you're going to use is the Disruptor. So just right off the bat, as soon as you load in the fight, have the Disruptor out and disrupt him. And then I'm going to punch him with the mouse wheel because it's a little faster than punching him just normally. Gonna lure him around here, and then kind of sneak up behind him. You can get like super close to him. He doesn't have very good like field of view, so you can do this, and then you can just line launch directly into him. Then we're gonna go back over here, slide under this wall, place gel on the left side of this wall, then blow it up. And if you've done all this well, then he's very conveniently placed on this electric water, or this water that we can electrify. So as soon as he's like stood up and done his standing up animation, you can press the button. If you press it too early, it'll like turn off before it can actually affect him, which will be bad. So be aware of that. That is how you wreck Freeze.
That didn't look too difficult.
Yeah, it's once you actually know what you're doing, it's pretty easy to manipulate them into doing what you need. So coming up, we have a bit of a weird skip here. So we basically want to throw a remote control batarang and catch it. And that will cause the game to save. And then when we reload, we won't have to watch this cutscene where there's this helicopter looking at us. So one thing to note is that when you go through the door, the game saves, and the game can only save once every 8 seconds. So if you do it too quickly, you actually won't be able to, like when you reload, it won't put you in a new place. So while you're waiting, you can actually buy an upgrade. Here we're going to buy the tightrope upgrade because we will need this for a skip coming up. And then if you bought this earlier, then obviously you're good. But if you didn't already buy it, then buy it now. And if you have enough experience, you can buy the Batclaw disarm upgrade right now. I'm going to leave it for now. But since you don't always have enough experience for it, and I'm just kind of used to buying it at the end. So do this. You literally just throw the remote control batarang and catch it. Game saves. Reload checkpoint. Nice and easy. Now you're out here. You don't have to watch that cutscene. So now we are going to do a very big skip called Steel Mill 2 skip. So from there, you can just drop down here. There's a corner here. Grab storage on that corner, as usual. Grapple up here. There's like a little white mark here that you can kind of see. You want to basically be standing right beside that, like so. Set up your zip by doing rec lock. Aim, shoot, rec, switch to explosive gel very quickly. Pull out your batarang. And then shoot the rec. Takes you pretty far across the map. Ideally, you fall in that water, and then when you grapple up, you're on this railing, which is very convenient because we now want railing storage for something. So to get railing storage, it's the same idea as getting storage anywhere else, just aim, shoot, rec, switch to explosive gel. I now have railing storage on the rec. On the rec. And you can also get it on the batarang if you want, just as like a backup, but you generally shouldn't need that. We'll grapple up here. Grapple up here. These guys see you, like, they will shoot at you, but it doesn't really matter. If you want to be, like, safe, you can just drop a smoke grenade, and then they'll leave you alone. So you're going to... There's a wall inside of this building that you can glide through to get out of bounds. So we're going to do that. It's pretty easy. You just got to glide here for about 2 seconds, then drop down, pull up, and there you go. You're through that wall. So we're now out of bounds. We're going to use the line launcher to get over here. And you'll see there is a door kind of just floating in the air over there. Wonder what happens if we open it. So we're going to line launch straight across. Then you can slow it down just to make sure you time it just right. You want to be not too close to the door, but not too far from it. This is way too far from it. Let me try that again. Actually, sorry, before I do this, let me explain something. So I'll just use cheats to make this easier. So when you... I made this really difficult for myself. Whatever. So when you have railing storage and you have freeze grenades, when you quickfire a freeze grenade from the railing state, you kind of just get pushed up into the air, like so.
Oh.
That's very useful.
Interesting.
So we're going to take advantage of that. Let me just make this a little easier. Let me just drop into this water. Because I need to, once you use rec storage, it's gone, so we need to get it again. Go back up
If
here.
you wouldn't have explained what you were doing, I would not have registered that you just did that. That was really quick.
Oops. If you... There's a bunch of, like, things you can touch here, so you can usually recover if you do something weird. Okay, so let's go across here. Be close, but not too close to the door. Get on the tightrope. This should be okay. And then we're going to pull out that railing storage, very quickly throw a freeze grenade, just one, to push us a little bit up into the air. And then when we drop back down, Batman will like be standing on the tightrope and you'll be able to interact with this door. So then you want to very quickly interact with it. You have a pretty short window to do that. So I'm going to use the mouse wheel to guarantee that I can actually interact with it. And I just did it wrong. Okay. Well, I think I can back this up by doing... Nope. All right, let me just fall in the water. If you mess it up, it's sometimes best to just fall in the water. You don't want to fall in the water over here, though. You want to fall in the water over there, because grappling up here is kind of bad. There's a bunch of gross geometry. I'll just ghost out. Do that again. Get our railing wreck storage again.
So I'm getting the impression that like missing skips or zips or anything like that in this game isn't the end of the world. You just get to try them again, basically.
Yeah, in almost all cases, you just reload and try again. Or in this case, just drop in the water and try again.
Yeah.
You can also, if you're a pro, you can glide directly to this thing. But it's kind of hard to do. So... So holding aim, switch to rec, quick fire freeze grenade, mouse wheel up to... Really? That didn't work? Okay. Maybe that was too close. There we go.
So I get the feeling that this one's a little finicky on the placement.
Yeah. This is also a relatively new trick. We found this... I guess it's been a couple months now.
That's still
Like
pretty
July.
recent. Yeah.
So,
Considering this game's been out for 10 years.
yeah, exactly. So still a fair amount of nuance to this one that at least I don't understand. Oops. Oh, funnily enough, there's actually a different way to do this where you just get super close to the door, and then if you're close enough, which I am not, you would be able to just stand up and interact with the door.
Okay.
But this is supposed to be the easy way where you're a little farther away, because in theory anyway, the positioning is a little less...
A little less demanding.
Yeah. Okay. Just faster if I use cheats. No, I don't really want to. All right. There we go.
Okay.
So as you can see, I've interacted with the door, and this puts you directly into the funhouse, which is pretty far along. We've skipped the entirety of the Steel Mill 2 building up to this point. Now we have a very big fight. This fight is quite difficult, and it's also quite difficult to like teach. I can explain what I'm doing, but there's quite a bit going on.
Okay.
That'll you'll definitely have some trouble doing it quite as fast as I'm doing it here when you're first starting out, but you can still kind of try to do it. So just gonna knock this guy down normally, hit this guy, throw 2 batarangs to get a multi-ground takedown. Then I'm just trying to keep my combo, so I'll dive roll, throw a batarang at Joker. Whoops, that's not good. Okay, do another multi-ground, knock down Joker so it doesn't bother us. I'm gonna manually place explosive gel here because manually placed explosive gel has much wider range than quick-fired explosive gel. Okay, and then we're going to punch Hammer Dude with the mouse wheel here. Getting hit by him doesn't really matter. Then once we're done with that, blow up our explosive gel, knock down as many people as you can, do a multi-ground takedown. 2 more people will drop, do another multi-ground takedown, finish this guy off. So just like ground takedowns, you can interrupt this takedown on this Titan dude by just spamming quickfire Batclaw. So we're gonna do that. And then you can just throw batarangs at Joker to finish him off. And then it is a good idea to switch to the line launcher right at the end of the fight. Because you're just gonna use it immediately here. Go forward a little bit.
Would now be a good time for another break?
We're actually fairly close to the end. I think we could probably just power through.
Okay. How long do you think? Probably about another 23 minutes then?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
All right, so there is a zip we're gonna do here. So from all the zipping we did earlier, we should still have corner storage on the remote control battering. If you don't, you can just get tightrope storage and the zip will work with that. So just from here, you can just grapple up here, set up your zip, switch to the remote control battering, and then quickfire regular battering. Then from out here, go back towards all this. There's this kind of like sewer pipe thing. Stay close to that. Go down and over here. Ideally, the whole subway area should load in just like that. Go under everything. Kind of a fast bit of gliding there. But yeah. Maybe I should do that again.
I was gonna say maybe do that again. That was.
It happens pretty fast.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it does work with tightrope. So we'll just get our storage on tightrope. If you do it with tightrope, you'll get zipped further out, but it's not really a problem. So again, you've got this sewer tunnel here. Kind of stay close to that to make sure the sewer area loads in. Once it does, there's kind of this gap here. You're gonna go through the gap, then go under the whole area. Then you're going off to the right here. There's some stuff you can collide with here. You're gonna just go around it and then grapple up to this ledge.
Okay.
Right, and now we have Protocol 10 skip. So by far the easiest way to do this is we're going to take advantage of the freeze grenade climbing again in a very big way. So we're gonna get railing storage on both batarangs here. And then we're going to cancel opening this door. And once we've canceled it, we're just gonna like turn around and run this way, down like this hallway. So do that. Down here. And then you'll see there's some geometry down here you can land on. So just glide to that, land on it. And then you're going to do a freeze grenade climb. So in the same way that you set up a zip, you just do rec lock. And then when you pull out the batarang, it'll put you in the railing state. And then you can start quick firing freeze grenades. I should note, I have quick firing the freeze grenade bound to a single key. If you don't have that bind set up, you'll have to mash 5 and you'll have to mash it a little bit faster. And doing it on controller is the worst. To like mash the trigger really quickly. So highly recommend doing this on keyboard with a single key bind if you can, because you gotta throw like 40 something freeze grenades here, and then 50 more later. There's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So you want to go like well above this ledge so you can just glide past it, like so. Go here. Do another freeze grenade climb here. This time you're just throwing like 7 to load in the top of the tower area. Just like that. And I'm just gonna reload to show the backup strat, because if you mess something up, you'll end up inside of this predator room. and you will not be able to leave.
Primero tengo que
So
esta zona.
what you do instead is just glide over here, get railing storage on the remote control battering, then get this corner on the regular battering, grapple up to this gargoyle here. You're gonna zip off of this and then immediately start gliding. Then find this little bit of geometry you can land on, and you'll do the free screen climb from here.
Okay. Is this the same spot as the regular route? Or
It
version,
is.
I guess?
It's a different spot. It's
Okay.
like that far side over there is where you would normally end up.
Okay.
It's basically the same idea, just spamming a bunch of freeze grenades.
A finales de mes se abrirán nuevos campamentos en Keystone y Metrópolis, ambos basados en Arkham City. Deberíais sentiros orgullosos de haber participado en esto. Somos la solución que necesita este mundo. Somos el futuro.
Is there like a specific timing to this, or is it just
just-
mash it?
Just mashing the button as fast as you can.
Okay. If you, for some reason, you don't mash as fast, does it fail, or is it just slower climbing?
Yeah, if you there's the speed of the climbing is set, but if you just like don't throw freeze grenades, then he just like falls. So like if I just stop, he just falls.
Okay.
Once again, by the tower. You don't want to be too far into the elevator shaft because you can get stuck inside of it, but you need to be close enough that it actually triggers the next area loading. Whoops. Keep doing battering because of muscle memory. All right, once everything's loaded in, you're going to go looking off this way. You can see Gotham City Bank up there, and like the area just kind of looks like this. So from here, you're going to throw 58 freeze grenades. It's important that you do 58 because if you don't do enough, the top of the tower here will not load.
Is doing too many a concern?
Nope. You can do way too many. Just definitely do not do too few.
Okay.
You can also do it based off these grapple prompts. I think it's when you see 8 of them, you're good.
Okay.
Okay, and once you climb up here, just throw a battering at one of these guys to get these doors to open a little faster. So if you've done everything right, when you drop into this elevator shaft, Batman should grapple out on his own and end up over here. And then when you look up, you can see there's those gargoyles on top of the tower. You can see the lights as well, so everything should be loaded in and good to go. Grapple up here, jump over. Gonna walk across this thing until you get this missile launch detected pop-up thing. Then you can just glide off of this platform. Go here. The safest way to do this, you can cancel grappling this thing, but the safest way is just to glide off of it. Around here, grapple up to this thing. Then to get to the very top of the tower, we're gonna do a wreck jump off of this ledge. Then dive bomb, pull back up, and grapple this balcony here. So because of skipping a bunch of stuff here, these guys are not really loaded in correctly, so you can just do loud takedowns on them, and they don't care. It's fairly convenient.
Yeah, basically the AI doesn't register you're there, so you're free to just clean them up.
Pretty much, yeah. So there's a guy off to the right here. You're going to yank him over the ledge. Guy off to the left, yank him over the ledge, and then the last guy should come down here. Perfect. You just punch him in the face. And grapple up here. And here is the last hack in the game. This one has multiple solutions. It is, you're basically looking for Hero and Gotham. So, fairly easy to remember.
No puede ganar. Yo, Hugo Strange, soy su sucesor. Yo.
We'll have a couple unskippable cutscenes here. Unfortunately, even with save files, I can't really skip ahead here. So, just have to sit through them. Yeah, that's pretty much all the hard stuff in the run. Protocol 10 skip was the last like major thing. Pretty much just
Even
going
that-
to the final boss, and then we're good.
Even that skip didn't seem too bad.
Yeah, once you get to that part of the game, you probably have a pretty good grasp of all the tech, and that's really I think that's the hard part of learning this game is just like knowing and understanding all the tech. Once you have that, like doing individual tricks isn't too bad at all. Probably why the like first half took quite a while, but we kind of blasted through the second half of the game.
Yeah, it's really about understanding the fundamentals of the tech, like the speed tech in the game, and then being able to apply it properly.
Exactly. Alright, so we're going to go off in this direction. We want to go to the left side of this building here, and it's very important, if you haven't already, that you buy the Batclaw disarm upgrade. This is essential for the snipers here. Because there's a whole bunch of snipers outside of the theater that we need to go into, and we need to either take all of them out or just take all their guns away so they can't shoot us. That works too. So just slide to this platform here with this like lounge sign on it. There's a guy there, and there. We're gonna just pull all their guns away, back to back, just like so. Then glide over to this platform. You're going to pull this guy's gun away, and then sometimes these guys will see you. If they do, no worries, just drop smoke and then do a takedown. Then cancel grappling off of that thing. Come up here. Slide into this guy, do a ground takedown cancel, which lets you pull that guy's gun away. Then there's just these two guys left, so drop down here, and you can do a ground takedown cancel. If you're not comfortable with the ground takedown cancel, you can just do that. Just do a freeze grenade and then knock him out with that. That's the sniper's done. And now we are going into the final boss fight. So there's these 4 bombs in the corner of the room that we're going to try to blow up Clayface with. So we're just going to run towards the one in the back corner here. Just let Clayface hit you because him taunting you is faster than him trying to attack you again. So for these gel placements, you want to place them relative to the door. The explosives are just props. They don't matter at all. You want to place them in pretty much the center of the actual door. And then when you place them, you want to like pull back away from the door so that the gel gets placed as close to the door as possible. Okay, so he's gonna roll first, so that doesn't really matter. Sometimes he'll jump first, and when he jumps is when you want to blow him up with the explosive gel, but when he rolls, you just want to let him roll into it. So place gel in the center of the door while pulling away. And while you're waiting here, just chuck a bunch of freeze grenades at him to whittle down his health. As soon as he jumps, dive away, and blow him up. If he's got any health left, just finish him off with the freeze grenades. So the order you do the bombs in doesn't really matter, but I've always done that far corner, then that corner, then this one. So come into this corner. This is kind of a tricky place to place gel. Just again, remember the door. Remember that you're placing it relative to the door, not relative to the actual bombs. Dive away, blow them up. Nice. I haven't really been throwing enough freeze grenades at him. Ideally, you would like blowing them up, or you'd blow him up, you'd throw one freeze grenade at him, and then he would be done. And then after this, there is one final part of this fight where we're going to do something called phase skip, where basically there's supposed to be 4 phases of a thing, but you can throw a bunch of freeze grenades at Clayface in between, not in between phases, but I guess, in between when you're supposed to throw freeze grenades at them. And if you do that right, then you can take them down at 3 phases instead of 4.
Muy pronto, un cambio de paisaje te ayudaría a olvidar el dolor.
Alright, so for now you can't really do anything, so you're just going to take out a bunch of these clay drones while you're waiting. Eventually Clayface will like groan. Once he does that, you can throw 4 or 5 freeze grenades in here. You can throw more if you want to, but you only really need 4 or 5. Then just take out all the drones, and as soon as he pops out, you want to run into this corner, because when he shoots you in this corner, it just hits an invisible wall and doesn't actually hurt you, which gives you perfect opportunity to just like spam freeze grenades at him while you're here. Once he pops back into the ground, just go out far, hit the drones that are far away, then come back in. Throw more freeze grenades. Just like that. Throw even more freeze grenades. And that's pretty much it. Time ends when you jump into Clayface's mouth here. And time. And that is how you speedrun Arkham City. And if you want to know any more about speedrunning or other categories or just more in-depth information, you can always go to speedrun.com/Arkham City. We've got a link to our Discord server. There's a bunch of guides on speedrun.com itself that can be helpful to you. So definitely be sure to go check all that out. And yeah.
So overall, that didn't seem too complicated. Like, there was a few things that require a little bit of practice. But besides that, it seems pretty easy to pick up, right?
Yeah, it's really just learning the tech is the complicated part. But once you got a handle of that, the run itself is, I don't think it's too difficult to learn, especially if you're only doing beginner strats.
Yeah, there seem to be a lot of backup strats. I'm sure some of them, like some of the strats you showed, were the easier strats, but even still, like, there seem to be a lot of backup strats, or if you fail this, you just get to retry it.
Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of like true fail cases where your run is over and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, so until you get to the part where every second matters, missing something, you just redo it, and then that's it. You took an extra try, or
exactly,
2 or
yeah.
3 or something. I actually would feel reasonably confident learning the game, so that, which
nice.
might not say something to new people because I've been speedrunning, but that seemed pretty straightforward. And you said there's other categories of this game too.
Yeah.
I know there's a glitchless. Are there any others you would recommend if people liked this category or anything like that?
100% is pretty cool. It's hard to learn because there's like 400 something collectibles, which is not great, but
yeah,
I think it's a pretty fun category. And if you like more of the glitch categories, that's kind of cool. There's also a couple variations of any percent. Like we have something called New Game Minus, where you basically are playing on easy, but you start with all the gadgets and upgrades from the beginning. And there's also just like a pretty straightforward New Game Plus category where there's like 2 zips and you can beat the game in 15 minutes.
Oh,
so
geez.
that's a very easy one to jump right into.
Okay. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about the game? Or anything else, really?
Just like I said before, check out the speedrun.com page, join the community Discord, all that stuff. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for showing off this game. I feel like this was an excellent showcase, especially for the first episode. It was very in-depth. It had a lot of, like, the game has a bunch of easy things that you're able to just kind of pick up with. And it has some things that you need to practice, but overall, like, practicing is what speedrunning is all about. So thank you so much for showing this off.
Thank you for having me.
So that is the first episode of How to Train a Speedrunner. We are going to take a quick break. We're going to look for a raid target. We'd love if you would stick around and help us cheer somebody else on a speedrun. Just before we head over to that, I'd like to remind everybody about a few things. Frame Fatale's Games Committee applications are open now, so go to gamesdonequick.com to apply. Frame Fatales has been selected as a finalist for the Game Her Awards, so you can learn more about that with !vote. If you've missed out on any of our previous GDQ Hotfix shows, you can check out our archive of past runs and shows over at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. And if you're over on YouTube watching, you can feel free to join us over at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick. You can check out all of our live shows there. Most nights they start at 7 p.m. Eastern. And while you're over on the GDQ channel, our Twitch channel, you can support us. So all of our broadcasts are funded in part from your subscriptions and bits. So if you consider supporting us there, it'll help with future broadcasts. We also have launched a new YouTube channel. It's called GDQ Sum Segments. Sum is spelled S-U-M. That is a highlight channel that has regular videos every day every time with all of our shows, same as our main channel, except it's small highlights instead of the full videos. And tomorrow we have the premiere of It's Dangerous to Go Alone, which is a show focusing on co-op speedruns that's run by Frozen Flygon. We've had a preview of it. It was an excellent show. I very much recommend checking that out. With that, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'd love if you'd stick around with us and then cheer a speedrunner on afterwards. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great night.